The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
It is a Monday edition of Running Points on YSNLive.com. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hardwig for the next 3 hours. We're going to be chatting about this, talking about that. A little bit of sports on our mind, among other things. If you want to give us a shout, the YSN hotline is open 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. On the show today, Munch Bishop will be calling in about 14 minutes. We will be talking Major League Baseball. The Players Association has their proposal out. Interesting to say the least. We'll talk with Munch about that, among other things. At 1 o'clock, Dan Abolish will make his weekly appearance. He'll stop in via the YSN hotline, and we'll talk some local sports. Speaking of which, Anthony, you had an opportunity to go up to Trumbull County to check out the mega softball tournament. How was it?
Yeah, it was really fun to be back out on the field. I was there from Saturday from about 9:30 to about 5. I was up in Warren at Candlelight Fields, and then on Sunday from about 3 to 10 I was in Hubbard at Harding Park watching softball. So a lot of fun times. 92 teams were competing throughout the weekend, and from divisions 10U to 18U, and it was really fun. I was watching the 18U because that was full of teams that had a bunch of seniors that didn't get to play in their senior season in high school, so it was kind of their last chance to play on these local fields and play with the people that they're familiar with, because in a couple months they're going to be going to their college teams and playing with all new teammates.
Yeah, really good stuff over the weekend, and hopefully, again, fingers crossed, no big outbreak of the COVID virus.
You know, I can't speak to everywhere that was played this weekend because I couldn't be everywhere, but the fields that I were at, everyone was kind of adhering to the 6 feet rule. They kept the guidelines on the field, so the one they really kept was each team used their team balls. So, for example, if one team was on the field, they were using a distinct set of balls, and then the other team would use a completely different bucket of balls when they were on the field, so the balls weren't being intermingled. That was one of the guidelines that they were really strict with. But also all the other stuff, the dugout extensions, they seem to really handle it pretty well.
Let me ask you, were some of the fans or the majority of the fans wearing masks?
No, to be honest. They kept 6 feet apart unless they were in the immediate family, but most of the people weren't in masks. There were a couple, but most of the people felt like, I guess, it was outside, it was nice out, and they didn't feel the need to wear one.
All right, good stuff. So that is the first of hopefully many things that are going to be going on around the area athletically. And hopefully, again, knock on wood, fingers crossed, we don't get a spike in the COVID-19 virus. That'll be a test in the next couple of weeks to see if we do have a decent spike or not. Fingers crossed that we don't.
Yeah, I mean, DJ said a couple of weeks ago, there's probably going to be a spike just because people have been in their homes for 3 months and people are going to get sick. But I think the big point is how big that spike is compared to and how much you can really pin it to the actual coronavirus and not other things that are floating around right now.
Well, certainly it was good to see some kind of a sport
Yes,
back, and
yes.
no question about that. And like we said, 2 weeks from yesterday, the B League will be starting, and will be wall-to-wall coverage on YSN. That should be an awful lot of fun.
And it was really interesting because I thought going into this weekend, I thought the pitchers would have the advantage because I thought going that long without seeing live pitching would kind of hurt the batters. But you look at the numbers this weekend, offense galore. There were a lot of 11-9 kind of games, 10-0. A lot of offense, and I kind of expected the opposite. But we'll see how baseball kind of looks when it first comes, if the pitchers have the advantage or if the hitters have the advantage.
Speaking of baseball, the Players Association of Major League Baseball put forth their proposal, which the owners are pretty much going to throw down. The MLBPA wants a 114-game season. Surprise, surprise. Gee, I wonder why. It might have something to do with money. The season would start on June the 30th. This regular season would end on October the 31st. No additional pay cuts, although there would be $100 million in deferrals if the postseason happens to be canceled or if it's shortened. A couple of other things on this. The players have the right to opt out of playing if they choose. The high-risk players would get their service time along with their entire paycheck. Any other player who is not at high risk, and I'm using air quotes, would get service time, but they would not get paid. The owners are pretty much going to laugh at this, much like the players laughed at the owners' proposal. And truth be told, there's going to be somewhere in between. I wonder, and we'll get Munch's opinion on this in about 10 minutes, but I wonder if the thought process all along, without anyone saying anything, was a 100-game season. Because it seems to me, owners won at 82, players won at 114. We're going to be meeting somewhere in the middle, and that's smack dab at 100 games. I think that 100 games, if the season were to start on the 4th of July, if you were to do doubleheaders, you probably could do a 100-game season. Now, if it were me, based on everything that we've heard, here's what I would say. Okay, we're going to do 100 games. Starting on July the 4th, the season will end when the regular season normally ends. We're going to have doubleheaders. You're only going to get paid for 82 games because there's going to be 18 doubleheaders. Essentially, you're not getting paid for one of those games.
Right.
Everything is normal. You get paid for 82 games. You'll get your service time, which is important for the players. The postseason is going to be regular postseason. You're not going to have expanded playoffs. Just do a regular postseason. You have the framework done for the deal. And let's throw that out there and let's see what happens. By the way, it is June the 1st.
Right.
If Major League Baseball wants to have a deal done, you have until Sunday to get these guys into agreement in order to start training camp on June the 10th, which is 1 week from Wednesday. So you have until Sunday, have 2 days off, then start spring training on June the 10th, have training for the rest of the month, and you start your season somewhere around July the 4th. Easy peasy. Will it happen? $1 million question.
Yeah, and the thing is, when this whole thing started, I think we both said that there are going to be two sides negotiating. They're both going to throw out offers that the other one's going to laugh at, and they're going to be in the middle somewhere. And I was surprised that counteroffer took so long to kind of put on the table from the players because, I mean, the first offer from the owner was what, like 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
2 or 3 weeks ago,
yeah.
and now we're sitting at June 1st, and the other offers on the table. The owners have to act fast and try to get somewhere in the middle where the players are going to be acceptable.
Yeah, like I said, it's if you want to start the season around the 4th of July, you better get your people in camp 1 week from Wednesday. Because if you get your people in camp on June the 10th, you get 3 weeks of training, which is good enough. It's not in a perfect world, but it's good enough. And then you can start your season around July the 4th and go from there. Bottom line, look, the Major League Baseball Players Association, they want all of their money, or as much money as they can. Look, here's the truth. If you end the regular season in October and you go into the playoffs, and the playoffs are all the way into November. I'm sorry, folks, but when we're eating Thanksgiving, baseball's not on anyone's mind. The season is over by then. The season is normally over, World Series and everything, by October the 31st. Why would you want to go up against the machine that is college football and the National Football League? I mean, I understand you want all of your money, but you are really just asking for all kinds of trouble.
I guess they figure that the fact that it's playoff baseball, and obviously when any sport, when it's the playoffs, the interest goes way up. So they figure that we can compete with regular season football if it's playoff baseball. That's what they're thinking.
Well, I mean,
and I don't know. I mean, especially if it's World Series, I guess World Series could probably compete with regular season football, but I don't know if like the divisional series could compete with regular season football.
I think it's a bad idea. Look, it screams we want our money. Okay, I get it. I understand you guys want your money, but you also have to understand if there's not going to be anybody in the stands, I mean, the owners are already taking a serious hit here. So 114 games is way too much. I mean, either have it at 82, 100 games max, but 114 games is just absurd at this point.
The players are starting to sound like a J.G. Wentworth commercial. It's my money. I need it now.
And now all of a sudden I'm hearing the opera sounds of, call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. All right, 330-886-0813. Jesus, now I got that damn song stuck in my head for the rest of the day. Thanks a lot, Anthony. We're going to take a time out. On the other side, we will hear from Mark Munch Bishop. We'll see what he thinks about the possibility of not having a Major League Baseball season. We'll also get his thoughts on the upcoming, well, if there is an upcoming NFL season. That is all coming up in just a bit. We got Munch coming up next. It is a Monday edition of Running Points on YSNLive.com.
21
Good evening,
News.
and thank you for joining us.
Let's get right to our top
More
story
experienced reporters
A new Wilmington restaurant.
GM Lordstown.
telling more local stories
We'll look at
Baby
efforts
boy
to
is
curb
recovering from a broken.
around our
Good
valley
Community in
afternoon.
Niles,
We are
one
here in
Chandler Valley
Youngstown, right
business.
because you expect
up.
important
Taking
for
place
everyone.
just
No
south
place
Avenue
like
in
home.
Youngstown.
more local news.
In Mercer County
Before
Court.
they become life-threatening.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
It's a Monday edition of Running Points on YSNLive.com, and we are joined by one of my favorites, and he and I have known each other for a couple of years, and he's like family to me. He is Mark Munch Bishop, and he joins me on the YSN hotline. What's going on, brother?
Roddy, feeling good. You know, here's what's interesting. I know it's a tad cool. For me, it's not. For a lot of people, it is. But, man, I'll tell you this. I'll take blue, sunny skies and 60, 65 any day of the week. You know that?
You know, it actually felt great yesterday because I've been doing a lot of walking because, as you know, I have more chins than a Chinese phone book. So I'm trying to lose this weight, and I have found myself enjoying the fact that I can walk 2-3 miles a day, 6 days a week.
Now, question for you: do you have a dog to walk?
I do, but he is such a misbehaved dog when it comes to walking. I leave him at home, and then I just walk him around the yard and whatnot.
Okay. See, I've got a walker, and he's usually good for a couple miles, even though he gets up to that age-wise. But still, you're walking around. You got some thoughts to yourself, and I'm sure you're thinking about a lot of things.
Oh, no question. And one of the things that I'm definitely thinking about is whether or not we're going to have a baseball season. You know, a couple of weeks ago, the owners came down with their proposal. Yesterday, Major League Baseball Players Association came down with their proposal. Munch, I got to be honest with you. Look, I understand the players want theirs, and I get it. But to have a 114-game season and the regular season would end on October the 31st, that means that the entire month of November would be playoff baseball. I'm sorry, but when I'm sitting down to eat Thanksgiving turkey, I'm not thinking Major League Baseball. I'm saying pass the mashed potatoes and let's watch the Lions.
You know what? As bad as they are, think about that. What would we do if the Lions weren't on Thanksgiving Day? You know, it's like, wait a minute. We got to see the Lions. It actually seems like the Cowboys have become a staple there, too. No, I'm with you, However, if your team was in the World Series, wouldn't you put a little time aside on Thanksgiving Day? I don't know if we'd be grumbling. But I see what you're saying. And you know what, again? Cities that are north, well, you want to play Thanksgiving weekend. I know you can say, well, it could be 60 like today. Yeah, it could also be 20, and that's not how baseball was made to be played.
I got to believe that if they have the postseason in November, if this were to go through, which I don't think it will, but if it were to go through and the owners said, yeah, let's do it this way, I got to believe that playoff baseball would be played in neutral sites, which would be a big turnoff for me.
Dude, think about this. What is the goal of a team? To win a few more games than the last team, not only to finish first or playoff bound, but isn't there something called home field advantage, or did I just make that up?
No, there's absolutely something to do with home field advantage.
And that's one of the reasons you play the game, to get the crowds there. Now, I understand players originally weren't, digging the idea of nobody there. Well, you're playing in other countries. I know it may not be the caliber, although some of it looks like it, of what we have. But even the NBA players just scorned the idea at first, no fans, no games. Well, they realized there aren't going to be any fans, at least at the beginning.
Obviously, the owners and fans are at opposite sides of a spectrum right now when it comes to these negotiations. It took the players a couple weeks to get a counteroffer on the table. Do you think the owners can speed it up and get another counteroffer quick?
Do you know what? I think they can. However, and thinking is that being not sure, but the bottom line is what's going to happen then. Ronnie and my friend, let me ask you this. Do you feel that a drop-dead date would help or hinder? Because you have a drop-dead date, you got to honor it. And if that's the date and nothing's done, or do you think it'll make people work towards making it happen?
Honestly, I think that if you want to start the season on July the 4th, which, by the way, would be an absolute stroke of genius if Major League Baseball did it, because there's nothing more American than baseball and hot dogs, apple pie, and fireworks, even though we're probably not going to have the fireworks part of it, but that's another story. But in order to accomplish that, I would think that you'd have to have everyone in training camp by 1 week from Wednesday to have 3 weeks of training camp in.
At the least. And so that's right. What you're saying is, yeah, they better hurry up and get on this dang thing, because if not, time is waning. I was confident they were going to play. From what I'm hearing, and I know we're putting the cart in front of the horse on this one, but I'll do it, is that the NFL really doesn't seem to be much different when it comes to training camps coming in August. But I thought by now one of the majors, and I'll call hockey one of the majors, basketball, baseball. Ronnie, tell me your thoughts. Is that I thought by now they'd say, hey, here's when we're starting.
I agree with you. And for the longest time, I thought Gary Bettman was by far and away the worst commissioner of the four major sports, and it feels like Major
Really?
League. I feel
Wait
like
a minute.
hang on a second. I feel like Major League Baseball just said, "Hold my beer. I've got someone worse."
So you had Bettman below Rob Manfred?
Well, I did originally. Hell no, not now. This guy, I don't understand. I just don't understand. This guy is the commissioner of Major League Baseball, and he's the first to badmouth the sport. I don't get that.
No, I don't. You know what? I think teams, when they sit down at a table, say, hey, as long as we're here, let's get rid of this guy. They brought him on. They can get rid of him, He isn't doing the job. Get him out of there. And he's not doing the job at all.
And we talked about this on the show a couple weeks ago. What kind of things do you think the baseball can do during this season, if they have it, to kind of raise the popularity of the sport and try to bring some of the younger generations on to the fandom?
What can baseball do? I'm sorry, to bring it to the table? I didn't catch the whole thing.
No, to bring up popularity in the sport, because we talked about things they could do during this season. Yeah.
Oh, dude, you know what? Popularity in sports, the second they get on the field, they don't have to do a damn thing but play. I mean, people are going to go nuts. I'm going to go nuts. I know the fans will go nuts just to have baseball back. That's all they need to do. Just get out there and play, whether there's nobody in the stands or not. Just play. We'll listen. We'll watch. Yeah.
Well,
we'll go nuts just by having them back.
Especially in the environment that is going on right now. One of the things that I thought of while all of this was going on, I was like, if we had Major League Baseball right now, I'm sure a lot of people would be wanting to watch the game just to have 3 hours of peace and quiet.
Amen. Hey, think about this. We're watching, and I watched the 22nd game when Indians had the win streak the other day. The Whites, now I'm not going to watch anything that happened a couple of years ago. She was right by my side. Yeah, we just want to see a game. We want to see baseball.
All right, so Mark, I want you to play the part of Rob Manfred. If you were the commissioner of Major League Baseball, what are the ramifications that you would want in order for the season to be opened up?
Okay, well, number one, you're just talking about, just set a date. Say, listen, this is what we're going to do. Now, you're talking about ramifications player-wise, they're going to give up, or the owners?
Yeah, what you would want, what you believe is fair for both the players and the owners.
I believe it's fair for both the players and owners. Play half a season. That way you're not stretching it way out the postseason into November. I'd have to cut the schedule back. There's no doubt. So you play people in your own conference, in your own division. So the Indians would have you play 19 games with them anyway. So there'd be quite a few of them there. But other than that, everybody is taking a hit on this, and they're going to have to take it. Something else, though, I have heard that if you're uncomfortable in playing and don't want to play, then so be it. But I can't pay you.
Yeah, the Players Association, their offer is the high risk player would get service time along with their entire pay. But any other player that just wants out because they're not comfortable but they're not high risk, they would get service time but they wouldn't get paid.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you know what? That stuff has to be worked out. Ronnie, you said something interesting at the beginning, too. That seems to be the key word today because we don't have this penned down, is that you understand the players want theirs. I do, too. It can end tomorrow on down the line. I don't know how many owners are, pleading poor these days. It's the billionaires versus millionaires kind of argument. But my golly, it's like, something. You got to give a little something. Because I'll tell you this, how many millions of Americans are given something right now by being out of work?
Well, no question. And I think that under the current landscape with 41 million Americans out of work right now looking for a job, if you're trying to sell the woe is me, I'm not going to get paid my entire salary and you're making multi-millions of dollars, that's not going to fly in today's landscape.
Not in any way, shape, or form. I think most people are understanding the point. They're not happy, but they understand that there's not anything they can do about this thing. And, it's just weird. It's almost like it is a science fiction movie. It's not almost. But the bottom line is they've got to understand that today. You know what else they have to understand? I know they're playing a game. I know they're making millions. I know that even the ones that aren't, are making a good living. It is a game. Is that if it is just not to your liking any longer, then just quit, step aside, void your contract, say I'm retiring, and then go get quote unquote a real job. And I'm adamant about that too. If they don't want to get out there and play now, something else funny. I know for a fact it would be for me. I mentioned what a great diversion it would be though to have something, even if you can go to the games, to be able to listen, to be able to watch. It would add some sense of routine and normalcy to lives again.
Oh, no question about that. It just, for me, I think Major League Baseball is missing a golden opportunity to, and historically they've always been at the forefront of trying to soothe the soul of America. I know that when the horrific attacks from 19 years ago this September, when that happened, it was Major League Baseball that was at the forefront to get everyone back into normalcy. Baseball has a way of doing that, and it's just going to be a damn shame if these guys miss this golden opportunity to do this again.
Ron, you know what you just said, which got me going? They could be heroes in their own right. They could be heroes, and they could get paid. They could be heroes by simply playing a game and taking our minds off something else. And is that we going to be going? Plus, I got a thought about this, too, is that the media in this case would even be more needed because some of us, we get to go to the games and be able to talk about them even more so than, the folks that weren't there because of the little nuances we pick up. But these guys could be heroes. They could be loved. And, it's the old thing, 10 years from now, people look back, wow, that summer would have been a loss, not for Major League Baseball. Bingo. It's pretty easy to do.
Do you think that we talked about it a couple of shows ago? But do you think that if fans were allowed back in the stands at minimum capacity, like 10,000 per stadium, do you think barnstorming to a couple of minor league parks every now and then would be a good idea this year?
Oh boy, it'd be a great idea, wouldn't it? There's no doubt. In fact, but tell Rob Manfred that if he's trying to strip the minor league. But that guy's got to go. The more I think, every time we turn around, he's done something else, So, yeah, there's no doubt that would be helpful.
Well, and the other thing that Anthony and I were talking about, there's a very, very good chance we're not going to have minor league baseball this year. There's a very, very good chance that we've seen the last of the Mahoning Valley Scrappers, being that they're one of 42 teams that are on the chopping block. I mean, if we're talking barnstorming, the first place that I would want the Indians to play a game would be Eastwood Field to kind of say, thanks for the memories. We know that, we're not going to have the New York Penn League anymore, but here's our way of saying thanks to the fans of the Youngstown area.
But you know what? It's a no-brainer, especially when you look at the folks that contribute to the team today that they played there. Boy, Ronnie, that's heartbreaking, isn't it? Just to even think about it. There's something else. Is that talking to some of the Indians execs, they said once, there are some teams that do not adhere to the major league contracts that they signed. They go, what are you talking about? That their lighting has to be, this much, this bright, and they have to have this and this and this. Well, I do know for a fact, I looked into it, that Eastwood Field is one of the minor league parks that checks off all the boxes. So why should they be penalized?
Yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, look, if you're going to get rid of short season A ball, and that's Major League Baseball's plan, is to get rid of rookie and short season A ball and have all of those kids down in training camp working amongst themselves and maybe having some scrimmages with the other kids in the other minor league camps. I mean, look, if that's the case and Youngstown has a fantastic facility, let them be a part of the Midwest League or AA ball with the Eastern League.
I'm with you 100%. And you know what? The fans there have proven, the organization has proven, from the media relations folks on down the line to the marketing people, that it's a top-of-the-line class organization. I know Ronnie and I aren't stroking anybody. We're just telling the truth, and it is, because I've been to a lot of minor league parks. And it could be a chance, too, that, the Indians, I'm sure, have a say-so. But if you go to Eastwood Field, you go to Captain's Ballpark, you go to Canal Park, home of the Rubber Ducks, especially the Clippers Stadium, too, but just closer to the area, these are all unbelievable ballparks. Your experience there is major league, even though it's a minor league team.
Agreed 100-fold. Speaking of the minor leagues, Munch, I've been saying for the last couple of months there is a very, very dark horizon for Major League Baseball. Right now, the dark cloud over their head is trying to get the players and the owners to agree on something to salvage the 2020 season. The dark cloud on the horizon is the combination of 42 minor league teams that are looking to be axed after the 2020 season. And after the 2021 season, there's going to be a labor dispute because the contract is up between the Players Association and the owners. Munch, Major League Baseball is in some serious trouble right now, and I feel like if they don't manipulate themselves around these landmines, we could be seeing the end of Major League Baseball.
Oh, Ronnie, that's heartbreaking to think about. It's always going to be, it could take a break. It's always going to come in. It could take a break, though. But here's the thing, too, is that it's a part of what we do. Well, I'll tell you this. I had people over the weekend on the air send me texts of pictures of their kids practicing Little League, and it was great just seeing dust slide up on an infield again and seeing people with mitts on and gloves on, and these were junior high kids, or 7th, 8th graders, playing, pony league or whatever leagues they're playing, and that looked great. It's part of who we are. It's part of what they do. I hope they must not realize that, Ronnie, do they?
I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of these people are just assuming the fans are going to follow them because, well, it's baseball and it's been around for the longest time, and well, we just assume that everyone's going to follow. I wouldn't assume this right now. I really wouldn't.
It's just crazy. And again, think about this. You talk to an NASCAR driver. What do they talk about? The dirt tracks they started off on. You would think that for someone to get into this game and put all the hours of practice that they do and dedicate their life to it, that they have to also be a fan, that it's not, quote-unquote, just a job, that it's a love for the game. Hey, what was the cost your movie? For love of the game? Bingo, that's the saying right there.
How much do you think it would hurt the MLB in the long run if for some reason they weren't able to play this year? I mean, everyone kind of they've already opened Pandora's box. Everyone knows what the dispute's about. So if they don't play this year, everyone's kind of going to know why.
Well, if they don't play this year, it'll hurt the game. There's no doubt in my mind, because right now they could be, in a way, saviors. No, they're not going to put food on people's table, but it's going to give you, like I said, once again, a diversion, add some normalcy, add some routine to life. That's why it's needed in some way, shape, or form.
Hey, Munch, before we let you go, the odds of Major League Baseball having a season, knowing what we know.
Well, I'm still going to say 60%, which is not that high. I'm still going to say better than 50-50, because somebody in the near future has to realize and just say, you know what, we've got to freaking get this thing going in some way, shape, or form. A couple more concessions on each side. I'm still going to say 60-40. A week from now, they may drop down to 50-50, and who knows what it'll be in 2 weeks if it hasn't started.
Hey, all I know is I want at least 82 games so Emmanuel Clase can serve his suspension and come back in 2021. And honestly, if the Boston Red Sox or some other organization that tends to be a smart aleck, if they want to have some fun, given the steroid and given what kind of steroid Clase apparently used, it's normally used on thoroughbred horses. I could see someone having the call to the post whenever Clase comes to the bullpen, where he comes to the mound and you hear this da 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 da. I would absolutely be hysterically laughing if that happened, because I can respect that.
Hey, bro, you know what else to think about this? With all this stuff going on, and again, the COVID-19 is horrendous. We understand that, Fred. It is, it's people are dying, and that's pretty ultimate heavy-duty stuff. But the bottom line on this, too, is that when you look at it, you know what? The freaking Astros are getting a little bit of a pass here with their cheating. You know that?
Yeah, no kidding. Memo to the Astros, you're still going to get knocked to the ground on a couple of hard ones. That's just,
I hope so.
Even if the 2020 season doesn't happen, come 2021, Altuve and the rest of those knuckleheads are going to get one high and in.
You know, and again, why do guys have butts? So they can get plunked, okay?
There you
Get
go.
There too. But yeah, do not forget the Astros. Rob Manfred, that's something else we got to bring up to him. Bro, he did, really, in all intents and purposes, he did nothing. Nothing at all for them.
Well, it's kind of like describing his commissionership in Major League Baseball right now. He's done nothing.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Good
so
job.
there you go. Hey, Munch, on a serious note, be very, very safe. I know both communities had their protests over the weekend. I am so proud of Youngstown. We had very little violence, and everyone got out of there peacefully. We made damn sure of it, and hopefully we won't have any violence tonight.
Well, you know what? Mayor Brown going over and talking to the crowd meant a lot. Mayor Jackson has been known for keeping the peace in some of the neighborhoods when there's been some disturbing times. I wish he would have got up, and Calvin Williams, police chief of Cleveland, who is very, very respected. You needed someone like that to talk to the crowd. They're not going to just listen to, a lower-level police officer or a lower-level politician.
Agreed. Munch, always a pleasure, sir.
Thanks, buddy.
You got it, brother. Mark Munch Bishop joining me on the YSN hotline, and again, it goes without saying, kudos to Mayor Brown, kudos to the chief of police in Youngstown, kudos to everyone. I was very proud of the way we handled our business last night.
And we did it very well, and I know they're before it happened, there are people that were scared, and I think Youngstown was one of the cities that really was prepared for it and really did their job well.
Hopefully the brothers and sisters up in Warren will do equally the same fantastic work. There is a protest to be scheduled up there this afternoon, and fingers crossed everyone is safe up in Trumbull County in the Warren area. All right, we're going to take a timeout. On the other end, we'll take some phone calls, 330-886-0813. We'll talk a little bit about what Munch said, 60-40 on Major League Baseball being played. We'll see if we can get our own numbers in. That's coming up in a bit. It's Running Point on ysnlive.com.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
Storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Stay in the showers. I'm keeping my eye on in parts of Columbiana County.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
It's a Monday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Ardwig. Numbers to call, 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. With you until 3 o'clock. We're talking sports. Coming up at 1, we will hear from TV21 Sports Director Dana Balish. He will be checking in at 1 o'clock. All right, on the heels of what Munch said in terms of Major League Baseball being played, Munch believes there's a 60% chance that Major League Baseball will be played. I'm going to go 50-50 right now, and I don't want to be pessimistic in any way, shape, or form, but I also understand that in order for Major League Baseball to get going and play on the 4th of July, they are going to have spring training starts on the 10th of June. That would give them 3 weeks, and then you can start the season at or around the 4th of July. And in order for the whole thing to happen, you would have to have an agreement in place by Sunday. Well, that's 6 days from now. And Major League Baseball, the Players Association and the owners are about as far apart as you can get. I honestly don't know if there's enough time for these two sides to get it together and have camp start 1 week from Wednesday in order to start the season on the 4th of July. I just don't know if they can do this.
Yeah, it'll definitely be hard. There are a lot of obstacles. I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic and say 70-30. But it's only because I think right now, even though there's 6 days, I think there's still this sense of, you see, yeah, we got time. We can be a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for?
A little more patient.
Yeah, a little bit more patient. But I think as that time clock starts to tick, and it's starting to tick a lot faster now, I hope everyone involved kind of understands what's at stake if they don't play. And I think when the pressure starts to cook, then both these sides are going to bend a little bit at the last second and hopefully get some baseball in this summer. I just think there's too much at stake if they don't play, and I don't think they're naive enough to not understand that. And I think eventually that pressure is going to get to them, and one of the sides is going to fold a little bit more than they wanted to.
Here's the one thing that I don't know what to think. There's some owners that are privately saying, we don't need to have a season this year. Let's just start fresh in 2021. I don't know if that's posturing or if they're actually serious. Because, look, if you're serious that you don't want baseball in 2020, I think it was Forbes that reported that Major League Baseball would take a $4 billion loss. I mean, that is a ridiculous amount of money. That's $133 million plus for every Major League Baseball team. Now, we've talked that, to recoup that money, you would essentially, after the 2020 season was not played and we go into free agency, those players aren't going to get a good contract, and you're probably going to lower payroll and slash payroll, and ultimately, I think that even though it's probably not the best time to expand, they'll expand because there's money involved in that. And maybe that's a good thing for some of the 42 minor league baseball teams that would all of a sudden get back into business again with two teams expanding, knowing that you need 2 low A, 2 high A, 2 double A, 2 triple A. I mean, that's 8 teams 8 cities that you would have for Major League Baseball. I'm not saying that this is the right thing to do, but if they did expand, you'd recoup some of that $4 billion loss.
Remember, the owners were the first ones to kind of make their offer public, to put the public pressure on the players and to try to make the public fingers kind of point to the players. So I'm sure they're of the mind that if there's no baseball, the public relations blame would be more on the players than on them. So whether it's right or wrong, the owners are probably sitting in the frame of mind thinking that the players have more to lose from a public view standpoint than the owners do.
Gene Orza, who is one of the attorneys for the MLBPA, he lashed out at Rob Manfred in The Athletic. There's an article today, a column, I should say, and he essentially said that Manfred is the kind of guy that wouldn't flat out say, hey, we want to play 100 games, but he pretty much has that in his cards. And if you say, hey, we want to play 100 and some odd games, well, he already has it in his cards. He's not going to tell everyone, hey, that's what I want. He's going to be the kind of person that's going to say, okay, if we're going to do this, then you're going to have to relent on something, knowing that you want it in the first place. You want 100 games, but you're the kind of person that's going to say, yeah, all right, I guess, but you got to relent on something so you have one leg up on the Players Association.
And even if you sat there and you okay, I want 100 games, but I'm going to start with this 82 offer because if they go for it, then hey,
sure,
that's less that we have to pay. So it's one of those. It's negotiating one-on-one. You always start on the wide end of the spectrum, and the other end starts on the other end of the spectrum, and then you kind of meet somewhere in the middle. But they better meet really, really quick.
And that's why I think that you're probably going to see 100 games instead of 82 games. And look, I mean, if you're going to do 100 games, you're going to have some doubleheaders. And the key in all of this is, are the players going to sit back and say, we want our money, we're going to get paid for whatever games we do? If they're staying on that stance and the owners say we can't do it, the fans are going to come down hard on the players over that.
And if they do 100 games, we talked about it's going to be probably doubleheader Sundays and then universally off days on Monday. That would be the smartest way to do it.
I would think. Yeah, I would think. Now, I mean, how hard is this for your rotation? Well, obviously, if you're doing a doubleheader on Sunday, you probably have a starting pitcher in Game 1, Johnny Allstaff in Game 2, and if you have a day off on Monday, okay, then whoever's up next is going to be pitching on Tuesday. I don't know if you would have Monday off. I mean, you could do Johnny Allstaff in the back end of a doubleheader and still have your starting pitcher go and do his thing on Monday if that's the case.
Yeah, and remember, rosters are probably going to be extended, so you'll have a little bit more arms in your bullpen.